where we are, the momentum is very high. So by your reading of the situation, what do you think is the direction of this presidential election? Especially as most Nigerians are afraid that in the event where the incumbent is defeated, he's not likely to concede defeat. What is the fate of Nigeria in the circumstances?
Well, I want to appreciate you and thank you so much for your response, and also how much the media has been carrying out its duty to be able to enlighten the Nigerian people, and also to mobilize for us to be able to have a credible election and also to save our democracy. I know that, like I said yesterday, the strongest soldiers are not the Nigerian army, and it's not the police force, but the Nigerian people. And the Nigerian people will surely protect the vote. And if the president loses, he will have no option than to go to Daura. And if he presses on with what they have put on ground to make sure that they stay in power, the Nigerian people will do the needful. And I will say that we know the things that will be done to get the president to accept the results of the election.
We saw the president when he visited Plateau State. There was a mammoth crowd that greeted him, and he has visited other states. Of course, we saw the welcoming and all that. So do you think at this stage, with all that we have seen, that the president will still lose the elections?
The crowd that you saw in the Rampam Stadium, what type of crowd did you see?
Mammoth.
What is the mammoth crowd? I was at the stadium. I had a crusade at the stadium, and it was not most of the people that were brought in there were not same people. I mean, the report that the people even that handled the whole thing told me on a direct report, there were talks that were brought in, and they were, so most of them were not even from Plateau, from Jos. So, and of course, with 100 million naira, I can rent a crowd for you of 1 million people. That does not mean that these are the people that will really give you the vote. The truth of the matter is, with what is on ground across the country, I've traversed the entire nation, and I've seen the heartbeat of the ordinary people, and I can tell you this, that the president will lose this election.
My name is Sir, in 2015, there was this allegations that this man would not win, Jonathan would not win. Now, we are now in 2019. Do we hope to see the Christendom standing with the last result they voted in 2019?
You see, what happened in 2015? Buhari rode on the state of the nation. The truth of the matter is the entire part of the North gave a bulk vote to Mr. President. The Southwest gave him also strong vote. And it's just an issue of even the church this time around. Everybody, there was a division. Okay, a group gave him and all of that. But he got a bulk vote from the Southwest. But this time around, the North itself, Buhari will not get 50% of the votes in the North. And in the Southwest, Buhari won't get more than 45% of the vote in the Southwest. And in the Southeast, Buhari will really get 20% of the vote in the Southeast. In the South-South, let me give him probably 20%. In the North Central, Buhari may get about, let's just give him 45% of the vote. If you go down to Adamawa, and I'm saying this to you, with the security situation, and with the disenchantment and the rate of poverty among the people, actually what he came for and what the people were aspiring was to, they were like looking out for a president that was going to lift up their status from the bottom of the pyramid But right now, you are having the poverty capital of the world under this administration. 89 point something million people are below the poverty line. So you come down to Bauchi. If you say it is based on the crowd you see in the stadium, when Atiku himself also went to Bauchi, what was the crowd like? If you talk about Kano, Kano gave Mr. President virtually 90% of the vote. This time around, you know what Konkoso? Konkoso has a cult movement in Kano. And Kano, there's no way the president can have more than 50% of that. You go down to Kaduna, with what has happened in Kaduna and with the terrorists in Kaduna. As the governor of Kaduna, surely he is not going to get, with the shared movement and others, the president won't get more than 40% of the vote. So, what I'm saying in essence is, in 2015, it's a whole different game. 2019 is a whole different game. And it's because of the incompetence of the administration. I asked you one question. Where is Aisha? Within this whole period, the time she flagged up her own campaign, and suddenly she disappeared from it. Where is she? She's campaigning nowhere. So the disenchantment is not just about the person, but about the cabals that have held this man, and they are the ones pushing for him to go. The man is not fit. The man is not fit to lead this country. Look at the blunders all over. I'm sure you saw what happened in Ogun yesterday. How people, I mean, even for whatever reason they may have, not to take stones and throw. Even if they're disenchanted with whatever, they must honor the office of the president. But you saw what happened. That's Southwest, where he is depending on they will give him bulk vote. So I do not see this president in any way winning.
Lastly from me, sir, the state of Plateau State is also on the same route. What do we hope to get on Plateau State?
You know that 2015, Lalong came in on protest vote. And it was not like, and I'm saying this, the records are there, it's not like Lalong won. The announcement of the results were not announced here. You know that same midnight, late Pajok was leading until the results were announced the next day in Abuja. And even the votes he got at that particular time, some of them, it was because of a protest vote based on the selection of the candidate. But this time around, it's a whole different ball game. And then it's not just because of long of an issue, but the way he has handled the crisis on the plateau. The way he has gone along with the people that are oppressing his own people and giving them wings to fly, and then oppress his own people and despise them. So at this particular stage, I tell you the truth, Lalong, no matter what he puts up, the people of the plateau will vote in the right man, which I believe at this point in time is Jeremiah Husseini.
Sir, you have the I am ordinary and
Name.
My name is Andrew. In 2015, who suggests that there might be crisis. This time around, what are you expecting?
I trust God for peace. We prayed, we fasted, we've waited, and that's why when I was declaring, and I stated on my national broadcast, I admonish all Nigerians to make sure that no politician is worth the blood of any Nigerian. And so I see peace. I know that it's going to be a war kind of an election, but God will take us through. And that's what I feel in my spirit. I feel calm, I feel peace within me. So it means that things will go peacefully, trusting God for that.
All right, sir. My name is Gian Berry. I write for Daily Sun newspaper. Sir, if you could recall, in 2015, the elections were driven by insecurity across the nation, issues of corruption, and lack of economic opportunities. This government, the present APC government, promised Nigerians that they were going to tackle insecurity, they were going to fight corruption, and they will make life better for Nigerians. So in your own objective assessment, would you say that they have actually met these promises?
Well, let me give you one. They came on a Tripolitan agenda, which is what you just mentioned. Let's take security. As of the time they came on board, we were having the major security challenge was in the Northeast. But right now, there are more than 15 states in Nigeria that are having security challenges. The rate of kidnapping, the rate of violence, and the rate of destruction, it has never been seen in the history of this country within the past 3 years. So, security is zero. If you talk about Borno, why would Shatima come to the villa and be crying? These same people, they've said that the government of Buhari has defeated the Boko Haram. They applauded it. They were celebrating it. And I said it was a false, it was a lie. I came out publicly and they said, no, I was just trying to beep up the sentiments of people and give a false report. And I said, I'm coming from Borno. And Borno is not secured. The security where you only find security is within Maiduguri. That even within Maiduguri, there are certain places that you cannot go. Now, few months after, the governor of Borno went to the villa crying and pleading with the president to arise and intervene. So it tells you, then look at Zamfara, the number of people that we have lost in Zamfara, that the governor appealed for a state of emergency. Do you want to talk about Kaduna? You want to talk about Kogi? What do you want to talk about? The state of security this government and this administration has done poorly. I will say that. And then let's look at the economy. I just gave us two. As of 2014, Nigeria's debt profile was 11 point something trillion. As of 2018, Nigeria debt profile rose to 22 point something trillion. That means this government got us into more debt that we were taken out from. Then Nigeria's naira or currency was devalued, 50% devalued. Then you want to talk about the businesses and jobs that were lost. 11 million jobs were lost within 3 years. Or you want to talk about children out of school, according to UNICEF report. You're having over 18 million children out of school. You want to talk about the state of poverty in the land, according to the report of what we have. Nigeria today is the world's poverty capital. So economy is poor. That's why many have withdrawn their children from school that they cannot afford. Businesses, the number of businesses shut down and migrated to other African countries. It has never happened in the history of this country. Businesses have shut down. People are barely just living and surviving. So economically, you look at the past, where you're coming from, you are performing better, and to comparing to where you are, it's absolutely zero. It means it didn't have a good economic team. They're just making all the noise, but the economy is not working. Then the third one of what they promised Nigeria, the anti-corruption movement. The chief of staff to Mr. President, just one. I'm not calling others. I have dozens of them. The chief of staff, Abakari, is from my state. He's from Borno. He collected 500 million with evidence. The records are there. The president knows about it from MTN, so that he will help in reducing the fine that was placed on MTN. Nothing was done on that man. This man is cruising. He's one of the cabals. Oh, you want to talk about crude? As I talk to you right now, where are they getting the money for campaign? I can show you document of a man who ran a business and had to join the APC to deliver $13 million for this campaign. $13 million. If I tell you how much crude oil has been lifted, this time crude have not been given out to certain businessmen that usually lift it and sell it. They have been asked to wait until the elections are over. They supply this crude to the people who sold it to return the money for the campaign. Corruption is the worst corrupt government ever. It's like what the scripture says about somebody who pretends to be holy, but is only whitewashing, showing the external, but internally is worse than what you can ever comprehend and imagine. So that's the state of this of the country. So there's nothing like the three cardinal things that the president said. We're going to fight corruption. They're not fighting any corruption. They're just going after a certain group of people, and that's all. But there are more corrupt people in this government, more than you can ever imagine. Let me ask you the question. Look at the billboards that decorated Jos City. How much is these billboards decorating Jos? On one person, one governor, on this. How much is this? Where is he getting this money from? If these billboards and posters that I see all over the place were used to decorate Jos, plant flowers and all of that, we would have seen a better state capital than what it is. We have a very terrible corrupt system that we're crying out that we must get out at this time. Yes, sir.
My name is James Abraham. Last year, sometime last year, there was tension in the city of Jos because of an attempt by DSS operatives to arrest him. Since that time till now, I don't know what has happened. How were you able to resolve it? What is the update?
Update like what?
How were you able to resolve?
Well, the truth is the truth. I wasn't, let me use the word, I wasn't saying anything that was contrary. I was just saying the facts. I was saying the state of the nation. I'm not a sycophant. I'm not a politician. I wasn't looking for the favor of anybody. I was just stating the state of my people. You cannot be seeing Nigerians being killed, maimed, houses destroyed, the economy is going down, and you sit as a president and yet you have no feeling. This same group of people are the worst terrorists in the world. Actually, the terrorist indices, I think, said that they are the third most dangerous terrorist group. And they've been declared as a terrorist group. You as a president declared IPOB to be a terrorist group, and you could not declare the Fulani killer headsmen as terrorists. So I had to come out to speak on behalf of the voiceless and defend the interests of the average Nigerian person. So there was nothing. They saw that I was standing on the path of truth. And then they also saw that the people who are the stronger force are standing on my side. And the president was careful based on interaction that went up with top leaders in the country.
Okay. Sir, sorry. My name is Dixon Adama, and I write for Daily Trust newspaper. Briefly, sir, beside all the predictions that Buhari may lose and all of that, not only from you, so from some other talkers, supposing he wins, that's one. And then secondly, he has a pastor as his running mate. So, and the pastor he belongs to a big ministry in this country. So what kind of scenario are we supposed to have?
You see, it's not just about prediction whether he's going to lose or he's going to win. I did not say in any way that, okay, the Lord spoke to me and said I should lift up the hands of this man to be the next Nigerian president. The truth is, with what is on ground, the president, except they rigged this election, but even rigging it, Nigerians will fight to take it back. He cannot win. Having a vice president that is a pastor is great if they had allowed the vice president to operate freely. But the man was caged. Anytime the president is out of the country and he takes over, you realize that things change within a short period. But the fact is there are cabals. So we cannot afford. We can't be sentimental and say, well, because he's a pastor and he's also one of it's a family. I belong to the Redeemed family too. But the fact is that we cannot, based on sentiment, say because he's a pastor, we continue to suffer the way we're suffering and to continue to allow Nigeria to keep going down and down. Buhari is not in control of this country. There are people ruling this country. And all they're doing is to come back and unleash the worst terror. And I tell you the truth, if Nigerians make the mistake of allowing Buhari come back to rule this country, I don't know how many will survive.
All right, yeah. So to Cascida New York, Team City FM.
Axel.
Yeah. Okay. You are going to be very outspoken as regards national issues, but a lot of people would also hold the perception that you're doing that based on your romance with, some top wigs on the other end. So for the avoidance of doubt, how sure are we that your standpoint is a nationalist standpoint?
I give you this. Basically, there will always be that assumption. But let me give you an example. The present administration had offered me to come discuss with them, come present what I want on the table. They offered me money. All right?
And you're saying that based on...
Okay, I'm not telling you this. I'm telling you what happened last November. To discuss and present what I want for the new Nigerian project. So if I was going for money, I was going for all of that, I will go for that. But it's not. I turn it down. Most of the people that I'm standing for, I've not met them one-on-one. And I have a very strict principle. Very strict principle. You can find out from the politicians themselves. I have rejected money they bring to me. Rejected and asked them to go with it. There is there. There are others there. You can find out. I've rejected money severally. So if I was going for, basically I wouldn't be talking what I'm saying right now.
Madam.
No, he has asked.
Okay.
Okay, sir. My name is just few days to the general election. We have seen where INEC office in Plateau State and other state, even today we are of Anambra State where INEC office are being bombed. So what is your take on that?
Well, I said something last year. I raised a little bit a kind of a warning, and I spoke to INEC officials and the INEC directorate, the chairman. I knew about plots to bomb or set ablaze certain INEC offices. It is a deliberate, intentional plan. And I raised that alarm. I thought that they would be able to secure their facility much more. But then it's unfortunate to be able to see what is going on. It's a deliberate thing to be able to make sure that what they are planning to put this nation in a state of chaos, so that if they don't win, the military, as they have negotiated, will come in. And that is not what we're going to allow.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, let me round it up. Sir, number one, you are from the Northeast. Very key figure from the Northeast. What does it take to restore normalcy to the Northeast that over 10, 15 good years going, the killings, torturing and whatnot in the Northeast, the Nigerian military have not been able to subdue the Iraq.
I have said this. The only answer.
And lastly, your brother also from the North, the governor of Kaduna State, recently threatened Pastor Neche. They were going to arrest him, detain me in Kaduna and jail him. And secondly, only last week, talked about these foreign observers and the rest, because not taking the return in body bags. So what is your reaction to this?
Well, I've said this over and over. The only way you can deal with the issue of the Northeast, the issue of the Boko Haram, is for the government to be sincere. And I'll tell you this truth. Boko Haram is being sponsored with it. Number two, the people behind Boko Haram, they are known by the government. They are known. Number three, if you want to stop Boko Haram within the next 24 hours, it is possible. Because the people, the Borno indigenes themselves, they know the answer. They are the ones fueling it. And then people are making a lot of money And certain NGOs are also sponsoring these things because they are making a lot of money from this. So to solve it, if the president wants to solve this matter in 24, I said 24 hours, I'm not talking about a week, it can be done. And that's why I said to the people of Borno, the Borno elders, we must be sincere. We must open up ourselves to say the truth of what is on ground. The problem of Borno and the Boko Haram issue is there, and they have the answer to it. Now, coming over to the issue of the Fulani headsmen, it's just like the Fulani headsmen thing. The president knows the answer. But the fact is that they want to keep going round the cycle because they have an agenda to make sure that they invade certain communities and displace the people and take over. And that's why you're having certain communities right now, the people that own the place are no more. And it is the people who invaded those places that are staying there. So they know what to do, that they are not willing to do because of, let me use the word, an archaic agenda that they want to carry on, which is not going to work in this 21st century in Nigeria. El-Rufai, I have said this over and over, I think is a sinking ship. He's drowning and he wants to see how many people he can drown with. One human being that I've seen that is a terrorist himself is El-Rufai. And so the threat he's given, it's just part of what he's doing. And I think by God's grace, Kaduna people will show him that power belongs to the people and also to God.
Colleagues, thank you very much. Daddy in the Lord.
So I am asking at this point that all Nigerians should join forces together to vote in Atiku Abubakar. After much consultations, I have received, of course, virtually all the presidential aspirants here. But I've come to conclusion at this particular point that we are in a battle, that we must all join forces together to form a government of national unity. Is he the Messiah? Not at all. Yeah. But at this stage, we must salvage Nigeria and we must save our country. So I am endorsing, giving my backing for Nigerians to elect Atiku Abubakar to become the president of Nigeria, so that together we'll be able to form a government that will restore, restructure, reclaim, and also rebuild this country. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, colleagues.